Yeah, I'll take care of that.
All right, great. Thanks, Francis.
Is this the one?
I think so.
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Right. I've been dealing with a lot of installation issues. I've been going through some of the open issues lately. I find that our document sometimes do not really use the experimental commands. I understand why. So I wanted to discuss if we should promote the experimental uninstall to a real uninstall command. As you guys probably already know, we don't have this uninstall. We have this experimental uninstall. Okay, our document trying really hard to avoid using those experimental commands. So we have some really weird procedures. For example, when you install, you use the install command, but when you're trying to uninstall Istio, then we have this, manifest generate command, and you ask user to actually use kubectl to uninstall the stuff, right? The problem with that is when you use those generate manifest file to uninstall, you don't really have a lot of control who goes first, who goes second. You're at the mercy of your Kubernetes servers, right? And in some cases, when you delete those CRDs first, and then the resources actually get deleted later, and then you get the error. Say, oh, cannot find those, right? This is really bad experience. And also, I feel it's really kind of rather strange that we have install, but we don't really have uninstall. I say, oh, go ahead and use experimental, right? I wonder if the group of people here think that it's time to kind of promote experimental uninstall to uninstall.
Can you describe what uninstall does?
Uninstall Istio.
I mean, my concern is, we have multiple revision of Istio. Does uninstall remove the CRDs? Does uninstall, if you're installing one particular revision, does it revert default or other things to another revision? Is it aware of revisions? Is it
right?
Because the worst is to remove the CRDs. If it removes the CRDs, we need to remove it. I mean, to remove your experimental and remove it completely because it will be very damaging.
Correct. So ideally, the uninstall should uninstall what the installed, right?
And that's not really possible because install, if you run install twice, I don't know what CRDs will be applied twice. I don't know how the logic works with install if another revision is installed.
I mean, if you install user revision, then you uninstall user revision as well, correct?
Are the CRD created only the first time, or are they applied again the second time? I'm not entirely sure what is the logic for CRDs on install.
That's true. Right? If you share the CRDs.
Yeah. In any case, my point was with Helm we have a very clear behavior. I mean, Helm has install and uninstall. It's well defined, and we have the separate base and revision. If we can match exactly the behavior of Helm, so basically Helm, deploying a revision is identical with Istio installs a revision, and Helm uninstall is identical in behavior with Istio uninstall, I don't mind having uninstall promoted. But I want to make sure that uninstall doesn't have unexpected behavior and create accidents.
If Helm can do that, I don't see why the Istio uninstall can't.
I would first check if the CRDs are not removed by an install. I suspect they are, and that makes the behavior different because Helm, there are two different deployments that are installed and uninstalled. And by the way, there is a second comment. The real problem is not actually removing the CRDs or whatever. The real problem is how do you stop and verify that no pod is is injected, and then how do you transition the pods from injected pod to uninjected? So it's basically the whole disabling the use of Istio before you uninstall it. That would be super useful feature, but I don't know if that's uninstall or is part of a different, kind of stop using Istio or disable Istio command. But without
currently,
it, it's not safe.
Currently our document says, okay, now go ahead to do install. Simply Istio cuddle install. Now, when you go to the uninstall, our procedure in our document says, go ahead to generate this manifest file, then apply, use kubectl. That way, the CRDs will be removed.
The docs are bad anyway, so let's. I mean, what docs says are I mean, that doesn't really need to promote it.
Constant. The point of doing it is to improve the usability and improve the user experience. Because right now, the user experience is not really good. You install, you don't have uninstall, you use manifest, and then you get error. We can try to improve, say, hey, we just don't have uninstall. Now do this, but this process is broken because you just cannot control, if CRD delete first or your resource delete first.
No, I understand. And again, my comment is I don't mind promoting uninstall as long as we guarantee that it works properly and it matches what Helm does. Because I think a lot of people will switch to Helm, which has uninstall working properly. And I think there is also possible to have mixed environments where some is you install first Istio Katos, then you install a different version of Helm and other combinations. So we need to make sure that it's, they don't interfere with each other, and eventually I suspect Helm will be the default install because it's much more popular. So keeping the UX consistent will be ideal. That's my opinion, at least.
Yeah, Lee, it sounds like what you've got there, it would strictly be an improvement over what we have today. Obviously, the CRD issue is worth digging into and ensuring that we're not doing on behalf of users because that erases all of their config. But overall, it sounds like an improvement to user experience. So I'd be in favor of that.
Right. Uninstall experiment command already support revision tag.
Great.
Okay. I can talk to you afterwards and see if there, other than those revision issues, if there anything else you're concerned that I'll make sure that it's addressed in this promotion process. You okay with that?
Yeah, we need details. I mean, if you can write in a doc exactly how it will work and compare it with Helm, I don't have a problem with that. It's clear that the current instructions are broken, but maybe we can fix it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anybody else on this particular issue? Favor, not favor, leave it alone? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Mitch.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Let me take a presentation. Okay. Yes. I'm now working on support image registry requiring platform-specific code. This is actually started from some needs for using the image registry provided by some cloud provider like GCR or ACR, ECR. It is pretty painful with because currently we just to support image pool secret for accessing private image registry, but just with the image pool secret, it is pretty tough to use that because the most of cloud provider provide very limited access token. I mean the access token expiry time is limited, so it is pretty tough. So I'm now trying to support such kind of platform-specific image registry natively, and I made some direct version of implementation PR, but there was some very great feedback. So I would like to discuss about how to implement this one. Yes. So I would like to briefly introduce this candidate designs first. So first one is, yeah, this is a drafted version of implementation, and in this case, the pilot agent statically link the authentication library directly. So it has some problem with having platform-specific codes dependency dependency. So this is the problem, and the another side effect would be the 3 megabyte increment of file size as well as the RAM usage. And yeah, but one of the most problematic part is introducing the dependencies with the platform specific code into our Istio code base. Second one is actually suggested by Costin. And yeah, currently pilot agent download the OCI image using Crane library, not the executable Crane. And so instead of that, just using Crane tool, I mean, it's the external tools to download the OCI image, then the external tool will cover that platform specific authentication part as well. So that we can achieve that the supporting natively such kind of platform specific registry. But there will be a little overhead, like we cannot cache the credentials explicitly, or some like a Docker config file should be written and read instead of when we using the Crane library directly in the pilot agent, we can send some credential via the memory. But when you're using a Crane executable, then we may need to write some Docker config file and then read it from the Crane executable. And third one is also suggested by Costin, and I added some details. Yeah, so third one is introducing some new component like a WAGM proxy here. So yeah, by this way, WAGM proxy getting all the platform specific code instead of introducing the platform specific code into Istio or pilot agent. So it also separate platform specific code from the Istio code base. And also one of the biggest benefit of this way is we can have a cluster-wise WASM image cache. So actually this is another scope of this problem, but I think this is a very great point of this way. And also we can think about one of the other benefit is yeah, platform agent can be very lightened comparing with current implementation, because we don't need to have any code for handling OCI images. Yes. Yeah. So okay, John.
Yeah, just make sure I understand right. Is there any change to Istio with this proposal, this option, or is this entirely someone
This
deploys
option.
something and changes their plugin and?
Istio D may have just some. Yeah, yeah, we need to add the second step in the diagram. Okay, that means that.
I put a link.
Wait. Why is Istio D? Why is Istio D fetching through the proxy?
Oh, sorry. Wait a moment. Oh, sorry. This diagram is yeah. This diagram is wrong. Yeah.
I put on that side an example of using the Docker registry as pass-through cache. So it's a pattern that is used by others.
Yeah.
I don't think it's yeah.
You can implement it like a pass-through cache, right?
Yeah. And,
right.
and it's not a WASM proxy really that we are talking about. It's using an in-cluster registry proxy that may cache, may handle authentication, may do other things, which could be used by a lot of other things that require registry, because it's a lot of registries are used for other things, not only for WASM.
Yeah, right. I think I'm not sure at this moment, but if I imagine some change in Istio D, I'm not sure, but maybe we have to slightly modify current ECDS encoding portion to give some more information, but I'm not sure.
I just see it like it's not even Istio doesn't even know that this is happening. It just sees that they're now pointing to a different registry, and that registry happens to accept an authentication method that we use, and then it happens to forward it and does its own authentication. So it's not really, if Istio is aware of it, then I think we've maybe done the wrong thing.
Not necessarily. I mean, Istio D may know. I mean, maybe configure to say, hey, is this cluster use a cache?
Yeah, I mean, we could do it transparently. That is true. Like those are two different options, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Or the user could rewrite the configuration report. Yes, that helps.
Yeah. I mean, the user rewriting is certainly the easiest because they can do it today and Istio 1. Whatever we already shipped.
And I would add that part of this cache, it is very possible to have it per node, because that's really what's the best way to cache it, or so we may not need to maintain a separate deployment, or because we can put that separate container in the CNI daemon set. And also it can be code that we don't maintain. We can find some third party, or like the previous solution we use Crane. The main benefit is not really it's that we don't have to maintain it. We just take someone else's project and use it in ourselves. Right?
Sure. Okay. Okay, let's move to the next section. Oh, before we move to the next one, yeah, there will be another variation of this way in the long-term viewpoint. I think if we have some PDS implementation in the invoice side, we can also think about support the BDS from this WASM proxy to deliver the WASM WASM binary to proxy. If this is possible, then I think we can skip some modifying process in the happen from pilot agent currently, because the PDS is will be implemented in the invoice itself. And yeah, and also as mentioned by Costin, yeah, the concept of WASM proxy could be implemented as a form of CSI as well, and I think it would be much better, but I don't know at this moment exactly how we can make it. And the fourth one is on, yeah, this is actually the very similar with third idea, but it is only it is using the existing Docker registry implementation itself without any sidecar, and control pulling from the remote site to pulling the image from remote site and push it to the local registry is happen from Istio WG, and Istio WG utilize the external tool Crane for pulling and pushing the image. So it is a pretty easier to hand implemented, but I think Istio WG if we implement this way, I think Istio WG may have some load to the image pull and push, as well as I didn't wrote here, but the security token is issued for the Istio WG. So when we using external Istio WG, I think there is some separation between the separation of permission between the control plane and the data plane. So I think I'm not sure that it is really works well. Costin?
Yeah, in the previous solution as well, the question is if the registry access control is granular, meaning that the WASM plugin can be downloaded only by specific workloads or namespaces, or if the registry is available to the entire mesh. If in the second case, yes, both proxy solutions would work, and I think that this one is far too complicated, and the goal is to not have registry-specific code in Istio WG or an agent. I mean, that's why we would want to have the proxy. But if there is a requirement that authorization to access to WASM artifacts is restricted per namespace or per workload, then both solutions would become extremely complicated to, because they need to have their own authorization. It's getting too heavy.
Yes. Yes. Right. Thank you, Costin. Yeah. And the fifth idea is a little bit different from the above approach. So in this case, Istio WG gets credential from the cloud provider, and then the credential is distributed to the pilot agent, and pilot agent using the credential. So, but here to separate the platform-specific code from our Istio code base. The external kubelet credential provider plugins is used. This way is basically I thought this way is the most best way at first time, but I think there is a very great cons that means that is mentioned by John. The Istio token is distributed to the whole workload. Costin?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I suspect it will be external kubectl credential provider because, kubectl credential provider is supposed to return tokens that are scoped for Kube API server, audience, and whatever, which will not work for GSS. It's a completely different audience and different, and also, this whole. I mean, it will also alleviate the problem of leaking Istio scope because if we're using jots with audience or which are targeted for the registry, they will be different to the ones used to access API server. If you leak access tokens like that are available for both, obviously that's not going to be viable.
Yes. Thank you.
And by the way, this solution will also has a nice benefit that in the future we may have other cases where we need to add jot tokens to outbound requests from even from employee. That kind of platform. It's a feature that has been requested to when you make outbound calls at the jot token to authenticate with an external service, and that will allow Istio to act as a proxy for for a jot provider. Don't know if we want to do this, but it may be useful.
Yes. Thank you, Justin. So, of course, there is another alternative, hybriding these ways, but I just want to have some get some opinion how to go. I mean, what would be the good for a short-term solution, and what would be the good for a long-term solution here? And if in my perspective, I think the second one, they're using external tool instead of embedding the OCI handling code into the pilot agent. It looks good as a short-term solution because the implementation itself is very straightforward, as well as and also we can achieve that separation of platform-specific codes from our Istio code base.
Yeah, so how big is the client binary? Because in your proposal one, Costin, you had concern about 3 meg adding to different code to fetch the token. How big is this tool?
Oh, frankly, I didn't check it yet, but I don't think it is a super big.
It may be, my concern was not necessarily about the 3 megs. 3 megs is not really bad things. It's about how much resident memory is impacted, because since it's linked into Istio agent and Istio agent runs all the time, whatever we have to load, static variables, whatever will need to stay in memory. With Crane tool, it's an exec that goes away as soon as the command is completed, so it's not impacting the runtime memory.
Okay.
Disk is cheap.
Yeah, John just sent a message. It's 11 meg. I guess that's the size. So that would impact a startup, right, of the sidecar, which has a pilot agent and with this new tool.
No, the stack and memory usage will not be impacted at all because it's exec, process starts, exits, everything is done.
Yeah.
So not for memory, I was just thinking for the image itself, right? So how would we build it? Would we embed this tool as part of our Sidecar proxy image?
We could, or we could have a separate image that is used if you're using WASM. I don't know if everyone is using WASM and registries and other things. So if you use WASM and registries, we can put a flag or something where we build a second image. I don't know if John probably has stronger opinions on this.
Yeah, I would very much not like to have two different images that we build. It becomes a mess.
Yeah, actually it's not 2, it's 4 because you have the distroless and the one with distribution.
And then another one, becomes 8 and it quickly gets out of hand.
To be honest, 11 megs compressed is not a huge deal in the big scheme of things because it's, we have, at least for Ubuntu, it's Ubuntu itself that it's, for distroless it's a bit less, it's a bit bigger percentage, but it's cached, the image is cached per node. It's not really that like we are adding 11 megs for each image and for each pod.
Yeah, it's only if the load doesn't have the image, we have to download. Yeah, by the way, I actually like this proposal more than 3 and 4 because I'm very concerned about centralized with WASM proxy. Like, how do we do isolation, authorization among different groups of users? And the credential might be leaked. With approach 2, I don't think we have that problem.
For a centralized approach, like a third one.
Yeah, and your first one is also centralized, right?
Our first one is not centralized actually. Each pilot agent download the image registry by their own authentication.
Okay. So just the third one is centralized.
Yes. So in that case, credential leakage is not happen because here the WASM proxy component only having the credential by their own authentication, and the WASM image is only sent to the pilot agent.
Crane was an example. I mean, it's one tool that is designed to interact with registries, but we can do a bit of research. I'm sure there is a Rust tool that is interacting with registries that will probably have smaller overhead. There may be platform-specific tools. So and also we can distribute Crane as a separate Docker image, and then use a trick that is typically done to copy binaries from one image to another or mount or whatever is possible. So there are ways to distribute tools and binaries in different way. I would also check for Crane equivalency in Rust, for example, or C++, or because they will probably have much smaller footprint than Go.
Yep, we can check out that as well. Oh, yep. Yeah, then if there is any other opinion for implementing this feature? I mean, supporting the platform-specific registry by the way of second one and short-term view. I think in long-term view, I think third one or Yeah, third one would be the one of the very closest solution.
Yeah, if done properly, right? And also don't forget there's a new component user have to install, manage, and upgrade. Yeah, so and then if it retrieves the right credential based on the right token, yeah, there's a lot more to get it right on the third one.
Yeah, right. I think if we go to the third one, then architectural review will be required very. Okay, thank you. We'll make some other different version of PR, then we'll request the.
Yeah, I just want to mention, I
second.
think option 3 really makes the most sense. It's already kind of a pretty bad thing that we're even ignoring authorization that every proxy, when it starts up, is pulling from a remote Docker registry. It's a lot of pulling overhead. If you use something like Docker Hub, you're definitely going to get rate limited. If you're using other things, you're going to add up cost pretty quick. It seems to be the simplest, most, it has a lot of benefits. It works today. It seems like it makes the most sense to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree, Kaz. I don't mean rampant. I mean to use registry 2 or whatever. I mean, it's not even our code, so we're giving really probably like a sample of it, and obviously we'll give a sample using registry or whatever the most standard is, but they can obviously use their own.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think long term that's definitely the best because it satisfies other use cases, and Istio is not the only one who needs access to registries. Using registries as an artifact repository, it's the future apparently. And startup time things are also factors. I mean, you have one round trip to get a JOT, you have round trips to get each WASM. All of this at startup, that adds up.
Yeah, option 3 definitely have clear benefit as far as like pulling the images can be reduced dramatically, right? If one of the pod in the mesh pulled out a particular WASM image, the cache could already have it, so we don't have to go to the external registry to get it. So that's a significant advantage. And the other advantage I would say is if I'm not using WASM, I'm not paying the price of that 11 meg on my sidecar image. And if I'm using WASM, I'm not using this token or secret to download them. I'm not paying for that price. So that's pretty cool too.
Okay. Okay, thank you. We'll think about a little bit more because the I think option 3 is very pretty accepted, but option 2, I mean option 3 is may need a more huge implementation. So we'll discuss a little bit more the other guys or the. Yep. Thank you for great comment.
All right, so that was both topics in the agenda. Do folks have other things you would like to discuss? Going once, going twice.
I
Going
have one
third.
thing I can
All
just
right,
add to
please
the
go ahead.
agenda quick.
Yes, please.
I have a link here. 1 second. Basically, I opened a new issue today on GitHub just for. I noticed there's some missing docs for the Istio CTL analyze messages, and I'm not quite sure why some of them are missing and some of them are not, or why some of them are there, why some of them are missing, and then also some of the in the docs page, some of the information is not actually linked properly either. Here, let me get that link. Here we go, pasting in the chat. And so I don't know if something's broken in the automation pipeline for this, or if there's a bug in the markdown that's stopping the pipeline from running successfully for these. But I just figured I should get an issue open for tracking some of this.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. This is normally handled via automation. I'll take a peek and see what's going on there.
Okay.
You can
thanks.
assign this to me, by the way, if it needs an owner.
All right, that's all I had.
So I have a small topic on the previous discussion. I just realized there is yet another option, which I think may be the best of all, if we can pull it. We have this proxy that really what it does, it's just receiving request from the agent and it's forwarding to the registry. But we already have a proxy. We have the egress gateway. So if we implement the feature that has been requested for some time to allow the Istio envoy to add JOT tokens when originating outbound calls, then we can just use the egress gateway as it is with the extra configuration to add JOT tokens, platform-specific JOT tokens for when it's calling the registry, and we get the best of all worlds. I mean, we don't have to maintain a separate component. We have all the policies that egress gateway has, so we can apply our own policies, logging, monitoring, and whatever to all those registry requests. And we also get to move forward the other feature, which is adding JOT tokens on the outbound in the egress gateway. Not sure if I was clear what I'm saying. I'm saying basically that if with the custom filter or with some code, we can make the egress gateway request the JOT tokens and retrieve them, and then egress gateway can act as a proxy in solution 3. It doesn't have to be a registry implementation. It can be just a regular Istio egress with ability to add the required credentials.
So instead of running a customer registry in Istio or customer cache, we would configure the Istio egress gateway to point to whichever registry, cloud registry, as a proxy in the middle.
Yeah, it's we'll have service entry or whatever is necessary to connect to the proxy, and this new feature that probably we want to add and has been requested. so that egress gateway, when it's making the request to the arbitrary destination, adds some tokens. It's not specific to registry. I mean, egress gateway can do it when it connects to some storage or database or whatever platform specific backend that the user wants to communicate with. And in those cases, you have the same problem. I mean, hey, if you want to use Amazon, whatever that requires Amazon tokens, do you need to have the code in each application, or do you, if you can use egress gateway, and egress gateway can add credentials based on some policy. Registry is just regular HTTP service that requires some platform-specific tokens, like any other HTTP service. So it will be a very general solution and very useful, because the problem of using custom tokens and distributing them as secret and so forth, it's very bad. While having just the egress gateway maintains the tokens, it's an improvement in security, because you don't have the long-lived tokens or whatever is necessary everywhere, and you don't have to distribute too many credentials. Keep everything in the egress gateway.
One question is then the egress gateway is request the credential from cloud provider, or
if it's something for egress gateway, it can be a separate container that is, I don't know how we can get the tokens in the egress gateways. That's a different story. I was just thinking about the problem of maintaining a separate component and adding JOT tokens. If we implemented such a generic solution, we need to design how would the egress gateway get tokens, but not only for registries. It will be for all destinations where we want to add tokens.
Yeah, by the way, the Istio is not involved for getting the credential, right?
Might be. I mean, Istio, it's already acting as gives you signed certificates. It could also act as an intermediary for retrieving tokens, like one of the solutions you had. But then it will not be only for WASM. It will be an implementation of the feature of, I want egress gateway to add credentials.
Okay, got it. We'll add we'll add some details and try to write down the idea in the doc as well. Yeah, let's talk about it after that. Thank you, Kostin.
Okay, anyone else have any agenda? All right, if not, let's call this meeting a wrap. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.